For more music, check out our Spotify and YouTube playlists. Enjoy. By my own design, you need to understand, no master plan goodbye. I'll stick around till it's time to fly. Don't get it twisted, if I lost it I would miss it, but I don't plant my roots so low. I like an exit before I wreck it, so when it's time to go, I go get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, wherever I can. So don't you let it change you to another man. I go get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, wherever I can. So don't you let it change you to another man. Don't make me feel like I'm doing time, 'cause I am here by my own design. You need to understand, no master plan goodbye. I'll stick around till it's time to fly. Don't get it twisted, if I lost it I would miss it, but I don't plant my roots so low. I like an exit before I wreck it, so when it's time to go, I go so don't you let it change you to another man. I go get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, wherever I can. So don't you let it change you to another man. I go get it, get it.
Lightning crashes, a new mother cries. Her placenta falls to the floor. The angel opens her eyes. The confusion sets in before the doctor can even close the door. Lightning crashing, an old mother dies. Her intentions fall to the floor. The angel closes her eyes. The confusion that was hers belongs now to the baby down the hall. Oh, I feel it coming back again, like a rolling thunder chasing the wind, forces pulling from the center of the earth. I can feel it. Lightning crashes, a mother cries. This moment she's been waiting for. The angel opens her eyes. that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen. Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave. There is so much a man can tell you, so much he can say. You remain my power, my pleasure, my pain, baby. To me, you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny. Won't you tell me, is that healthy, baby? Did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen? Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. Now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave. There is so much a man can tell me, so much he can say. You remain my power, my pleasure, my pain. To me, you're like a grown addiction that I can't deny. Now won't you tell me, is that healthy, baby? But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become large and the light that you shine can't be seen? Baby, I can feel you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. Now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave. Yes, I can pay you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. Now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave. Now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave.
Sign you with a smile, cut you like you want me to, cut that
I'm just a little bit perturbed.
You stay perturbed. If I ate mayonnaise by the jar, I'd be perturbed too. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello?
Hello?
All right, Uncle Lou, I have some questions for you.
I'll answer them.
Okay, recently, people have been saying Ed Orgeron's the next Gene Chizik, and the 2019 was a fluke for LSU because they had Joe Burrow and Joe Brady. Is that true?
It's true that they had Joe Burrow and Joe Brady, and it's true that neither one of those two people are walking back in that door. I mean, LSU's not Alabama or Clemson. They're I don't know if they're I don't know if he's Gene Chizik, but the odds of him winning another national title aren't very high, in my opinion.
But, like, do you think he'll fall as, like, the next Gene Chizik and just fall apart and go?
Well, Gene Chizik didn't have time to fall apart. He was only there one more year, and then they fired him. Ed Orgeron already made it past 1 year. So, no, he's not Gene Chizik.
But will he, like, improve to, like, you know, they had a down year, 5-5. Do you think they'll improve?
Yes, they won't. Yes, they won't be 5-5. They'll win 10 games.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have another question for you. Okay, this 12-man playoff deal. Like, it's supposed to be coming out new, everything. Well, when will it become whenever that 13th team thinks they should be getting in over, say, an SEC team like Auburn, who's 9-3, and that 13th team is, say, USC, who's
it'll happen the first year. It'll happen the first year of the playoff. Whoever's 13th is going to complain.
But do you think the SEC will get 3 teams in it for the 12-man playoff?
I think the SEC will get 3 teams in every single year.
Okay. Because I have, like, a couple people over here saying, like, the SEC isn't good. They just
punch them in the back of the face. Who ties their shoes for them in the morning? Ask them that. Who ties their shoes? The SEC isn't very good. Who Velcros their shoes for them in the morning? The SEC isn't very good. Jesus Christ. Tell them to pick their tongue up off the floor. Tell them to pick their tongue up off the floor.
But I haven't gotten to the best part. They said, you know, UFC, how in 2017 they're like, they call themselves national champions and all that year.
Central Florida?
They're saying that. Yes, sir.
Right.
You know that, you know how, like, they were saying that Auburn that year, like Florida State and Florida and Miami, they were the best team in Florida that year. And
they were
back in 2020.
They were the best team in Florida that year.
But I haven't gotten to the other best part about the whole deal. Like, you know, ULL, that team.
Louisiana Lafayette. Yeah, I know them. I ate dinner with them yesterday.
Well, who was the best team in Louisiana that year in 2020? ULL or LSU?
ULL.
Okay, so if LSU played ULL that season, who would win that game?
If they played in the first half of the season, I would have picked ULL. If they played in the second half of the season, LSU might have beat them. LSU was good at the end of the year when they finally found a quarterback.
But back in 2020, whenever they played the first game against Mississippi State, do you think Bo Pelini, he was not fit for the job? Everybody knows that. But do you think if they had a caliber, great defensive coordinator, do you think LSU would have, I'm not saying like skull drug Mississippi State, but would they have beaten Mississippi State, Missouri, and wound it off probably losing 3 games last year?
There's nothing that they could have done to beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State broke every SEC record known to man in that game. So, no.
Okay, that comes back to my other question.
This is the last question, though.
Okay. Do you think what's
Make it a good one.
State's head coach, Mike Leach?
Bigfoot?
Is that his name right?
Bigfoot is his name.
Mike Leach.
Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot, the pirate.
Bigfoot.
Do you think Bigfoot? Do you think his offense is good enough to compete in the SEC? Because in week 2 they scored a total of 2 points against Kentucky.
Compete for what?
Compete for like could they outscore teams now with Mike Leach there, or is Mike Leach offense dead per se?
No, they can. Yeah, they can
can't-
outscore teams. They can't win the West. They could beat. I mean, Mississippi State and Ole Miss, they could beat Alabama and still lose 4 games. I mean, that's how those teams are. That's how they go. But they're not winning the West. So when you say compete, if you mean compete to win the West, the answer is no.
I'm talking about compete in games to where they don't get blown out every game. Like say they play Missouri and Mississippi State loses 35-10. Do you see them losing those games 35-33?
I don't know. This is the point with Mississippi State. They can beat anybody on any week, but they're still going to lose 4 or 5 games. I don't really know any other way to say it. I can't predict what 4 or 5 games those will be. They could beat Alabama. They could beat Texas A&M. They could beat LSU. They won't beat them all, and they'll still lose 4 or 5 games. That's the best case scenario for Mississippi State. Thank you for the call. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou, it's Dominic. What's up?
I'm doing a call-in show.
Oh, yeah, I could probably tell, but yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk. I just wanted to get into the recently expanded playoffs. I've got a good feeling. 12 teams. It's not bad. I'm impressed.
You've got a what?
I'm just completely shocked by the recently expanded playoffs
Okay.
in the NCAA. And honestly, I feel like one of the teams that can make the playoffs would have to be Georgia, if they have a good season, that is.
Well, you're really going out on a limb. You mean this year or when we go to 12 teams?
12 teams.
You think Georgia has a possibility to make a 12-team playoff? That's a bold prediction, Cotton. I mean,
Yeah.
Isn't Georgia one of the best 4 programs in America and finishes in the top 10 every single year? I mean, I would say that's a pretty good bet you're making there.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Alabama might make the 12-team playoff too, and Clemson and Oklahoma and Ohio State.
I was just about to say those teams.
Yeah, I would. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Dominic. It was good to hear from you, buddy. Thanks, accept me. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's up, Lou? It's Ballard. How you doing, bud?
It's going great. How you doing?
Awesome, man. I'm doing great. Getting ready for LouTube News sports headlines tomorrow, and I wanted to call up and talk some Big Ten with you. 9 times out of 10, we can pretty much expect next year to be Ohio State out of the East. But who do you think can make it to Indianapolis from the West next year?
I don't see how you can bet on anybody other than Wisconsin. I mean, they're the best team in there more years than not. That's not a guarantee that they'll win the West, but I mean, Indiana's in the West, right? Are they in the West? Yeah, I think they are.
They're in the East.
They're in the East. Okay, well, forget that then. Well, yeah, Wisconsin then.
Yeah, you got other teams in there like Iowa or whoever, but I would probably take a bet on.
Iowa's winning 9 games like they do every year, but the problem is Wisconsin wins 10.
That's true. And the tiebreaker's normally over Iowa.
Nebraska will be lucky to make a bowl game. No one in the chat right now even remembers until I say it that Illinois has a team. Who else, I don't know who else is over there. Minnesota had one good year. The rowboat has sunk. Purdue, boiler up, hammer down. All their good players are gone.
Minnesota.
So, yeah, I would say Wisconsin.
All right. Yeah, that's really all I had for you, man. And I appreciate you taking my call. It'll be interesting to see what the West does. And I'll see you tomorrow for the news.
Sounds good, Ballard. We'll talk to you in the morning, buddy. Have a good evening, sir. How's everybody doing in the comment section? Hope y'all are doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Carolina Jackpot. Still pissed off, lady? Huffer Billy Paul, good to see you in here, sir. Crimson Brave, Rob Dog, the real MVP. Ballard, Ronnie, Melissa, Noel Squad, Tiger Baskins, the current YouTube rap champion. Good to see you in here. Celine Driver staying up late tonight. Good to see you in here, sir. Go Tigers. Captain Save-A-Ho is here. Sure, you had a busy day. Chase Hasbrock, good morning, sir. McKeestro Bistro, good morning. Bears, Cubs, Canes, how you been, buddy? Sea-Dog, morning to you, sir. Brad Pitt, Nick, Liberal Destroyer. Call in and try it. Call in and try it. Ray Finkel's house is here. Isn't he Einhorn? Isn't that Einhorn's house? Jordan Bowman, Lizard Circus, Huffer Billy Paul, Ned Turner. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't hit it already. We're fixing to get right back to the phone call. 706-786-4481 is the number. 706-786-4481. Super chat at the bottom of the comment section. PayPal for those of you who don't mind doing it so YouTube doesn't steal half your super chat. There you go. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Let's get back to these phone calls. See what they're talking about. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. It's Nate the Great.
What's up, Nate?
How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you, buddy?
Not much. I'm just home alone right now.
Well, don't answer the door.
Bored,
don't answer the door.
I won't.
Okay. It's probably the Mormons anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of bored, so I called in.
You called in because you were bored?
Bored. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, my topic is it's kind of like Ballard was. It's kind of like Ballard said, but a little bit different. Recently, I know you don't really believe that Illinois has a full team. Everybody doesn't, like Kansas, for example.
They're terrible.
But I know. But they have a new coach. No more Black Santa Claus, but
yeah, they fired the Black Santa Claus. He's gone.
Yeah, he's doing too much ho ho ho. But yeah, I think the coach for the new coach for Illinois used coach I forgot his name, but I've used coach for Wisconsin used to, but I forget what year. But I forgot his name though. But I wish him luck and wish his team luck if he succeeds. Which is I don't know. But anyways, I just want to tell you that I wish Illinois some luck, okay? and hopefully the best. But,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, good luck to Illinois, I guess, and thank you for the call. Nate, you're good people. You're amazing people, actually. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, Uncle Lou. It's J-Dub. How we doing this evening?
J-Dub, what's up, buddy? I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, I got a guy that wants to make a bet with you. He contacted a guy who got a hold of another guy who got a hold of me.
Don't do this to me. I know what you're trying to do, sir.
Hey, I can't believe Nate, man. Nate, good on you talking about Brett Bielema over in Champaign, but he won't be able to do anything because the Illini are more concerned about basketball than they are football. They always have been and they always will be.
Yeah.
But they can't. The problem with the University of Illinois is you've got a state that doesn't produce an excessive amount of talent, but a good amount. But that good amount gets leached by Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Northwestern. Illinois doesn't have can't just walk into some kid's living room and say, "Come to Champaign-Urbana." It doesn't work that way. That's their problem.
They're kind of sucking hind tit when it comes to recruiting for the reasons you mentioned. They don't have the tradition of some of the other football programs in the Big Ten, and the talent that does come out of Illinois, like you said, gets eaten alive really by those other big schools, and so it puts Illinois in a tough position.
Hey, I wanted to get your thought. I wanted to kind of go out a little bit on a limb here. I think you probably agree with me that Oregon, maybe almost by default, is probably the hands-on favorite in the Pac-12. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on Southern California. Don't you think that USC is at least positioned to be somebody like Texas A&M or Texas? I mean, think of the massive amount of talent that is in the high school level in California that gets, everybody else in the country right now is coming in and cherry picking it and taking it away. But if USC ever got their act together like Pete Carroll had them going, don't you think that they're maybe like the next school to rise up in the Pac-12 if somebody could just get them to keep their people in Los Angeles?
It seems odd to me that they ever fell down. I mean, it's not like the Pac-12 South is loaded with world beaters. I mean, Utah has probably been the best team in that division over the past 7 or 8 years as a whole. So it's kind of hard to understand. They like you mentioned, the recruiting area that they're in, they're clearly the biggest name school when it comes to football in all of the Pac-12. They can recruit nationally, but they almost don't even have to if they can lock up enough talent out west between California and then, there's a couple of, we talk a lot about IMG around here, but they've got some football factories out west too, Mitre Day or however you say it, and some of these other private schools that are out west are football factories too. It's really hard to explain why they even fell down to start with, but with Arizona State going through what they're going through, who knows what's going to come of that and how much these distractions are going to hurt them this year. I liked Arizona State heading into this season to contend to win the Pac-12 South, but with all that's going on right now, it's kind of hard to stick with that as a prediction. Right now, I would pick Southern Cal to come out of the South, and like you mentioned, Oregon in the North. I like Washington too. I feel like not enough people are maybe giving Washington enough credit. I mean, we not you, but and not me, but I think some people forget that Washington actually won the North last year. They just had to forfeit their spot in the title game because of Corona. That's why Oregon was in the Pac-12 title game. Oregon shouldn't even have been in the Pac-12 title game. Of course, they ended up winning it, but I think Washington's a pretty good team. And Oregon's problem is this is going to be their second year in a row with a brand-new quarterback because the quarterback they started last year, for whatever reason, got the hell out of Dodge. He transferred out. They've recruited really well. They've been the best recruiting team in the Pac-12 really over the last 4 years. So I do think they're really, really good, but it's such an offensive league right now. I mean, nationwide, all the leagues, all of college football, it's so offensive minded right now. It's hard to be 100% confident in Oregon because we don't know about the QB situation. Southern Cal, on the other hand, has one of the top 5 returning QBs in all of college football in that Keaton Slovis. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Southern Cal. I don't know if they'll make the 4-team playoff this year. I don't know if they can. The reputation of the Pac-12 right now, it's going to be hard even for a one-loss Pac-12 winner, I think, to get in. I think they would be the odd, let's say every conference champion had one loss. I think the Pac-12 would be the team that got left out, don't you?
Oh yeah, I agree. While we're still at 4, I think you've got to run the table if you're going to win, if you're going to come from the Pac-12.
Yeah, unless something weird happens and you've got like maybe a 2-loss Big 12 champion, then maybe a Southern Cal gets in over a 2-loss Oklahoma, maybe. But I don't see Oklahoma losing 2 games. But still, Southern Cal could be a pretty good team.
I just think all things being equal, the Pac-12 is not going to win a tiebreaker between 2 teams.
Right,
I mean,
I agree.
If they're equal with somebody else,
I agree
Hey,
with you
Lou,
there.
thanks for taking the call. I know you got others waiting.
All right, Jeff.
Great show as always. We'll talk later.
All right, thanks for calling it. Thanks for calling in, sir. Good to hear from you. Moving right along, also in 2. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Hey there, Uncle Lou. It's Steve M., pessimistic Michigan fan. How you doing?
Doing good. What's up, buddy?
Well, I just called in because I feel like I might be in the minority here. I'm actually kind of a fan of this 12-team playoff, just because I look at the 14 playoff and I feel like, it's been kind of predictable. There hasn't been that many like shocking games.
I agree with you. I think the first round games in the 12-team playoff are going to be great.
Right. I mean, you look at March Madness and college basketball, and
yeah,
probably a lot of teams that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but one NBA player on a college basketball team can win some games for you. Not the case in football. I still think you're going to see the same teams winning the majority of the national titles. I mean, some group of 5 teams are going to get into the playoffs, and they may even win a first-round game, but that's going to be about as far as they go, I think.
Yeah, it does raise a lot of questions. Like I look at 12 teams turns into 6 teams, 6 teams turns into 3 teams. How does that work out?
Well, it doesn't work that way. The first 4 teams get a bye. So you go from teams 1 through 4 get a bye. They don't play a first round game. Teams 5 through 12 play each other in the first round. So you go from 12 teams to 8. Then you go from 8 to 4, 4 to 2, 2 to 1.
Okay. So it's almost like a wild card situation.
Yeah. That's one way to look at it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Teams 1 through 4 get a bye. And then the first round involves all the teams ranked 5 through 12, and those games are played on the home campus of the higher ranked team. So 5 will play 12, and the game will be played at the home stadium of the 5th ranked team. 6 will play 11, 7 will play 10, 8 will play 9.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think it'll make for an interesting playoff. That's not going to cut into the regular season at all, is it?
No, they're still doing 12 games with conference championship games, and in fact, you're going to see bigger non-con games scheduled once we move to a 12-team playoff. Georgia, for example, has several years coming up where we play 3 non-conference Power 5 teams in the same season, and I don't know that that's ever happened for any team that's in a conference.
I mean, I feel like no matter what happens, you make it 12 teams, you make it 100 teams, everyone's going to argue over who should have been 101, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And that's why we love college football, because there's always something to argue about. It doesn't bother me that college football has a lot of subjectivity in it as opposed to objectivity. One of the things that draws a lot of people to college football is the constant debate and arguments that go on because it's not quote unquote fair. But the reality is there's 135 teams. Nothing you'd ever do is going to make it quote unquote fair.
Yeah, you're right about that. Well, I appreciate you taking my call, man. I appreciate your outlook.
All right. Yeah.
Have a great night.
You too. Thanks for calling
morning.
in. Yeah. Thank you. Good to hear from you. I was not in support of expansion. I've been happy with the 4-team playoff so far, but I don't think it's the end of the world that we're going to 12 teams. And I do think we'll get some exciting first round games. So I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. I'm not doing the Stuart Little routine where the sky is constantly falling and it's the end of the world as we know it. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Hey, what's going on, Lou? It's Jacob Watson. How are you doing?
Doing great, Jacob Watson.
Good. Hey, I hope you agree with me on this, but I don't see why Chess is not doing any more Hangout streams.
I have no idea. You'd have to ask him, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know why he's doing that, but do you think anybody outside of the obvious top 5 teams coming into the season, do you think anybody can make the 14 playoff?
No. Well, yes. I think it's possible somebody from the Pac-12 or even Notre Dame gets in, but I think one of those 5 teams is winning it all. I'll take those 5 teams, and if whoever wants can have the other 130 teams, and I'll take those 5, and I'll pay 2-1 if I'm wrong. If anybody wants to make the bet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to take up too much time, so I don't really have anything else to ask. So.
Okay. Thanks for calling in, Jacob. It was good to hear from you, sir. And my suggestion on your chess hall question would be to ask him directly. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. It's for Billy Paul.
Hey, what's up, Paul? What you doing, buddy?
Yeah. So, dude, we got to get some energy in here, man. People need to wake up. So, here's it's been kind of going across my mind for the past week or two. What's a surprise team that we should be just looking out of the corner of our eye watching this year?
Well, I've been saying Arizona State for 6 months, but that's out the window now. So I'm gonna have to think of a new one. I do think it is possible. I don't know if anybody would be willing to bet money on it, but Iowa State is going to be really good again.
Yes.
I don't know if
one of them.
I think part of the problem with the way people are viewing Iowa State is that we've seen a lot of teams have 1 year like Iowa State had last year, and then they tend to sort of regress back to their mean. Like Minnesota 2 years ago won 11 games or whatever. Mm-hmm. Last year they couldn't get a first down. And I think people just look at a team like Iowa State and go, yeah, they were good last year. They went on a run. They're top 10 team, but it won't happen again. When you start looking into Iowa State and who's coming back, and then you look around the Big 12 and you try to figure out, well, who could they lose to? Well, okay, they could lose to Oklahoma. Maybe they could lose to Texas. It gets a lot harder to find any losses after that, though. So if they beat even one of those 2 teams, they could be sitting at 11-1 and playing in the Big 12 championship game. I mean, I have questions too about Iowa State being able to put together 2 seasons in a row. Consistency is the problem with some of these mid-level teams that have a good year here and there. If you go back and look at the final top 15 teams every single year, about half the teams are in there every year, and the other half of the teams, it seems like they rotate in and out. Auburn will be in there one year, then they finish outside the top 15 the next year. Iowa State will be in there one year, then they finish outside. A bunch of teams, about half the top 15 seems to rotate in and out every year. About half of it seems to stay the same. So we'll see if Iowa State can do it 2 years in a row, but they've got the talent coming back to do it for sure.
Yeah, I looked at them. They really are. Seriously, I'd almost put some money on it just because it's chances you'll never get back. It's going to be good money if you win. You won't spend much. You'll get a lot back.
Yeah.
But Penn State's another one. I really do. I think Penn State's they're not going to be bad like that again.
No. I don't know if Penn State or LSU, either one, can make any kind of run to the playoffs, but I do know this. It's going to be hard to find 2 more teams in America that increased their win total from last year more than Penn State and LSU. Yeah. Penn State and LSU are not winning 5 games apiece this year. That's not happening. I would bet that they're going to – it's more likely they both win 10 than it is they both win 5. I mean, that was just an anomaly last year with those 2 teams. They've got way too much talent to be winning 5 and 6 games. I don't think it'll happen again either.
Yeah. No, I it's another one I kind of look at and I go, let's just watch. Let's see how they do. But I like today, by the way, your morning show ended. I had you on sort of on background because I had to do some work calls. Mm-hmm. And you said, well, we'll be back together at 10 tonight. I turned around, it was 10 o'clock in no time.
Yeah, it goes by quick.
You're here already.
Goes by quick. Here I is.
So, thank you for doing this. All right, we'll talk soon, man.
All right, buddy. Good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in. We got somebody that's paying $10 to troll. Let's see what he says. Calls himself the Pac-12 man, and he's crying about the SEC can't play in the cold weather. Makes you wonder what the Pac-12's excuse is. It's pretty warm on the West Coast. But anyway, he says if the SEC wants to get better as a conference, which I don't know that they can get much better, but he says if the SEC wants to get better as a conference, they need to learn to play in the northern weather. The body functions better in the blistering heat, but the cold is a different animal. I'm not going to get all pissed off and go on a rant again. That's just patently false. I mean, there's nothing to back that up. New England's the best team in the NFL over the last 20 years, and they're is played in the coldest city in the NFL. So, this idea that Ohio State can't win any games because it's cold above the Mason-Dixon line is honestly one of the saddest possible excuses that anybody could ever make. And if I was you, Pac-12 man, instead of sending me a $10 super chat, I just would have punched myself in the back of the face, would have saved you $10 and taken a lot less time. But thank you for supporting the show. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up? So what are your thoughts on the Pac-12?
It's the worst conference in the Power 5.
You think?
Yes.
Who do you think's winning it all next year? Thank you for the Pac-12.
From the Pac-12, I would take Southern Cal in the South, and you know what? I'm going to take Washington in the North.
What about USC?
I just said that. I said Southern Cal, also known as USC.
I thought you said something else. What about Oregon?
Oregon or Washington, either one could win the North, but you got to pick one, so I'm going to go with Washington. I was disappointed in Oregon last year.
If you think Georgia was in the Pac-12, you think they would win it?
Yes, Georgia's better than anybody in the Pac-12. You'll find that out week 1 next year when Georgia beats the absolute soul out of Oregon. Week 1, 2022.
You guys are losing to Clemson.
Are you a Tater fan now?
Huh?
You a Tater fan now?
No, I'm an Oregon fan.
Oh. What the hell are you talking about Clemson for?
You guys are losing to Clemson, I think. And you guys always choke against Bama, so you guys probably know that too.
You know you lost to Oregon State last year, right?
I know. Okay. I think we can beat Ohio State though. Like in a blowout win. Like
So far, you've given me a list of things you think that are honestly dumb as hell. Oregon's not beating Ohio State. Clemson's not beating Georgia. You didn't know that USC was also called Southern Cal. I think you're trolling your own self somehow.
20.
I don't know. I've never seen anybody troll themselves, but somehow you're doing it.
We're beating them by 20. And we're making the college football playoff.
Well, that's fake news.
Then we'll lose to Bama in the national championship. And I'm not even joking.
Well, is weed legal where you are?
And we won't give up a second and 26.
Is weed legal where you are?
No.
Well, it must be crack then. Thank you for the call. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Having a good old time listening to you rant and rave of some of your callers.
I don't hate any of these people that call in. I just, half the people that tune in only tune in to hear me argue with the callers. So sometimes I just, it is what it is. I appreciate everybody that calls in, though.
Well, no, trust me. As a Ducks fan myself, the last caller, be pessimistic. It was a weird year last year. We don't know what's going to happen this year. So let's
facts.
Let's slow down there. So it sucks. I know you're on ASU. I had the same thing too coming up this year between them and USC, and with ASU's issues right now, that's a tough one. But ASU can still throw some wrenches in people's plans. In their dreams.
I mean, they're going to have just as talented a team as they were a week ago before we knew about these coaching issues and the recruiting situations. My concern is how much of a distraction is that going to be for this year's team with the NCAA knocking on everybody's door down there. Some teams go through an NCAA investigation and they seem to handle it just fine. Other teams completely fall apart, so we just have to wait and see.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, and just with a lot of teams, this year is going to be a whole new, a fresh start because, ASU played 3 games last year, I think.
Yeah.
So you didn't even get to see them actually get together and work it out like they did the year before. So it'll be interesting to see for all the conferences. And I agree with you on Iowa State, though. We'll see where they're going because Campbell's got them rolling. I mean, they beat Oregon. Not a surprise. I wasn't shocked by that, but I think he's got them relatively consistent.
I mean, usually when a team like Iowa State has a season like last year, it's a team that's loaded with seniors, and so they're basically starting over the following year. But Iowa State was loaded with juniors last year, so they're all back. So they could be just as
freshmen
good.
and sophomores.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously.
Sophomores that got experience.
Right. But what I mean is that they didn't lose a bunch of seniors off of last year's starting roster, and that's unusual for a team like Iowa State. They usually go back and look at Minnesota or some of these other teams. They're just not able to do it 2 years in a row. But Iowa State's got almost everybody coming back, so I think they could be really good again.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly the point. That's the great thing about college football is you kind of can predict, but you don't know. It's always the unexpected.
Right.
There's always that team that builds up their confidence over years and has that one great year or builds consistency in a program. Same with the coaching staff. So, but I look forward to seeing you guys next year in 2022. Like I said, I might even go to Atlanta just to see it, but maybe not. I don't know what to expect. So
I mean, it could be a good game. Oregon hasn't had much luck in these games, but they haven't been blown out very often either. I mean, really, y'all outplayed Auburn 2 years ago and should have beat them, and it was a fluke touchdown at the end of the game by Auburn that won that thing for them, sort of. Bo Nix closed his eyes and threw the ball a mile in the air, and somehow the Auburn guy came down with it. But really, y'all outplayed them for the majority of that game. So, I mean, I don't have any reason to think Georgia's beat Oregon by 30 or 40 points or whatever, but clearly I'm a Georgia fan. I'm going to lean towards Georgia in that game, but that'll be one of the games next offseason that everybody's looking forward to in week one. It'll be one of the games everybody's talking about all offseason next year. It'll be a good game.
Well, exactly like this last year, Ohio State, Oregon. Could have been a really good game. Who knows? This year could be a really good game.
Right.
Are we beating them by 20? No.
Yeah.
I would say if we win at Ohio State, it'll be like a field goal or a touchdown. And it'll be probably a pretty high-scoring game.
Yeah, both teams have new quarterbacks, so whichever quarterback is more ready to go week one will have the upper hand in that game. We'll see. I think both offenses will be able to move the ball.
Yeah, we have. I think Anthony Brown is the starter right now, but he has a couple backups biting on his heels right now. So there's no word on that. So yeah, exactly. Like Iowa State, it's up in the air. So who knows? So, all right. Well, hey, I thank you for the call. You have a good night, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, good luck to your Ducks this season. I've been real high on Mario Cristobal for the last couple of years. I think he's probably the best coach in the Pac-12. I definitely think he's better than Clay Helton at Southern Cal. I don't think Clay Helton should still have that job. And he's a hell of a recruiter, Mario Cristobal. But last year, I know it was a weird year because of the corona, but there were some serious red flags when you watched Oregon play last year. They looked very unprepared. Even some of the games they won early in the season, they looked horrible doing it. They had what was it, week 1 or week 2? They had 4 turnovers. Were losing at halftime to a terrible team. Came back and barely won in the end. They were just kind of a mess last year. And again, we don't know how much of that is because of the corona or whatever the case. So, we'll see how they look heading into this year. Let's see what we got here. Jesus Christ, Home Slice, thank you for the super chat and supporting the show, sir. He says, with what talent is Oregon going to beat Ohio State with? Oregon's got some talent. I'll tell you, Oregon might have a better defense than Ohio State. Might. I'd have to look more into it. But Oregon's got 2 first-round draft picks on that defense. I can tell you that for sure. And I know Ohio State's loaded on defense too, but they were disappointing on defense last year. Outside of the Clemson game, Ohio State's defense looked terrible last year. Facts. I mean, I agree that Ohio State overall is more talented than Oregon. But with what talent is Oregon going to beat Ohio State with, that's kind of writing them off like they don't have any talent at all. Oregon's got some talent. Bama Mike, thank you for the super chat. Says, that's why I love this show. Going great and then completely off the rails in seconds. Never fails, does it, Mike? Pac-12 man's back with some more knowledge. He says, no, I want my $15 going to LouTube because I love watching. All love, Lou. Keep doing what you do, but cold weather is better. Yeah, that must be why the Big Ten and all the Northern ACC teams keep winning all these national titles. Where's South Bend, Indiana at? I don't know, but Georgia went up there and beat Notre Dame without a problem. What happened when Didn't Alabama travel to where'd Alabama traveled somewhere up there and beat the hell out of somebody? Auburn plays at Penn State. I mean, how cold is it up there in September? I don't know what you want. What are you mad at the playoff committee because the playoff games are in the South? Is that why you're mad? I don't know why you're mad. Well, I do know why you're mad. You're mad because you're a Pac-12 fan who's beating the Big Ten drum, and that's two conferences that can't compete with the SEC. That's why you're mad. Dylan Deloney, thank you for the super chat, sir. I think Bama beats Miami by at least 30. I'm going to say no on that. The line is at 18.5. I would bet Alabama minus 18.5. I would not bet Alabama minus 30. I think Alabama beats them by 24, somewhere in that neighborhood. 30 seems like a lot to me. Not because I think Miami's going to beat them, but I just think 30 might be a little bit too much there. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lulo.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, sir. Whatever that echo is, you're going to have to turn it off. You're going to have to turn that echo off, whatever it is.
Okay, it's probably my phone, the speaker through the phone. Until let me turn it down. Is that better?
I guess.
All right. Anyway, I just want to get your take with IU this year. Everybody keeps sleeping on IU, saying Penn State and stuff like that. Or do you think it's going to be all on what Michael Penix does? Because Jack Tuttle is a pretty good back-end quarterback, though.
What are you talking about, Indiana?
If Penix is, yes.
I think Indiana's a top 15 team.
Do you think they can give Ohio State one for the Big Ten East this year?
No. Even if they beat Ohio State, I don't. Even if Indiana beats Ohio, Indiana's like Ole Miss. They're good enough to beat a good team. They're not good enough to win 10 or 11 games, in my opinion. So I don't even think they'll win the division, even if they beat Ohio State. I think if they beat Ohio State, they'll lose 3 other games they shouldn't lose. I just think that's what Indiana is.
Okay, and my last point I want to make is I was just trying to figure out when we beginning the Swamp Olympics tournament.
I don't have any idea. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when they're in. Thank you for the call. 706-786-4481, 706-786-4481, or I get to end the show a little bit early. Either outcome would be okay with me. Cody says Alabama 63, Miami 3. I just want a troll. Indiana's like what South Carolina was in 2011, 2012, and 2013. I don't even know if they're that good, to be honest with you. Grady won't like that pick. He stays mad, don't he?
You big dummy!
Yeah, Carolina had some serious talent on those teams. Fun fact. Does anybody know who South Carolina's head recruiter was in the 3 years leading up to them making that run where they won 11 games a year, 3 years in a row, and had people like Jadeveon Clowney and Marcus Lattimore and that quarterback who was the best quarterback they've ever had? Who was their head recruiter? Spurrier was the head coach, but who was their head recruiter that recruited all those guys? That's right, Shane Beamer, currently the head coach at South Carolina. Now, that doesn't mean anything for this year, but if Shane Beamer can get a couple of decent recruiting classes like he did 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago when he was there, it's possible. You know, now Georgia's better now than they were then, but it's possible South Carolina could drastically improve over the next 3 or 4 years if he's able to get anything close to the type of recruiting classes he had 12 years ago when he was there. You know, Steve Spurrier didn't recruit at all. He spent all he spent all off season on the golf course. He didn't do no recruiting. He was here in Augusta while everyone else was recruiting. The only reason he took that job was because it came with a membership to the Augusta National. Talk about Ohio State. Ohio State's going to be really, really good, just like they are every single year. They should be everybody's pick to win the Big Ten. They've got a great shot at making the playoffs. A lot of it, of course, depends on how good of a quarterback they end up having. They did lose Justin Fields, but go back and look at Ohio State over the last 7 or 8 years. It hasn't seemed to matter who the quarterback is. They've gotten good numbers out of every quarterback they've had the last, hell, as long as most of us can remember. You think they're number 3? I would probably put them 4 right now. If I was doing a poll today, I would probably put them 4 because the 3 teams I would put ahead of them, I'm more confident in the quarterback situation at Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia, and Oklahoma. I'd probably put Ohio State 5, actually. I think of the 5 teams that are in everybody's top 5, Ohio State has the shakiest quarterback situation. That's only because we don't know. I mean, I know they're talented. It's just because we've never seen them play. We've seen Bryce Young play. We've seen the ukulele play at Clemson. We've seen Spencer Rattler play at Oklahoma, and we've seen JT Daniels play at Georgia, and we know they're all pretty good at the college level. We haven't seen any quarterback on Ohio State's roster do anything yet at the college level. That's the only reason I would have them 5 right now. But that doesn't mean they'll finish 5. They could finish 1. We gotta wait and see how that quarterback looks in an actual game. What's up, TK? Good to see you in here.
Stop mistreating Uncle Lou!
It's a good idea. Good idea. All right, there's nobody on hold, so I'm going to turn the phones off. Thanks to those of you that called in. Captain Save-A-Ho wants to know why there are women here. So that you can save them, sir. That's a pretty obvious answer, isn't it? I hear you. I'm ready for some games, too. It won't be long. It won't be long. It'll be here before you know it. Hey, thanks, Noel Squad. Yeah, happy Father's Day, too. Father's Day coming up this weekend. Happy Father's Day to all you dads in the comments section. VicTube, you can pay off for student loans. Oh, there's people that didn't watch the morning show that are wondering what the hell we're talking about. What early pre-conference game matters the most? I mean, Oregon, Ohio State could matter because the Pac-12 needs a big win, a big non-conference win. I mean, Georgia Clemson is the biggest game, but whoever loses that game is likely to still finish the season 11-1. So I don't know that one quote unquote matters the most. Seems like it's been a while since Miami won a big game. It would be if Miami were to beat Alabama, that would be the game that mattered the most. Not very many people expect that to happen, but can you react to a MGTOW video? I did that for 2 hours on the morning show this morning. The real MVP. I'm doing a video on this tomorrow, but Caesar Sportsbook in Las Vegas released their college football team win totals today. They had Alabama and Clemson at 11.5. If you don't know what that means, it's not the number of games that anybody thinks they're going to win. It's a number for you to bet on whether you think a team is going to win more or less games than that. The two highest numbers were Alabama and Clemson at 11.5. So you could bet on whether you think Alabama and Clemson are going to win more than 11.5 games, which would be 12-0, or less than 11.5 games, which would be 11-1, 10-2, whatever. Oklahoma was after that, I think, with 11. And then it was Georgia and Ohio State after that at 10.5. Tennessee was at 6. Auburn, I believe, was at 6. Florida State, I think, was at 6. Nebraska was at 5 or 5.5. I'm going to do a video on it tomorrow, and I'll put some more of the teams up. But any of y'all see that today? Florida was at 9. Florida was either at 9 or 9.5. I can't remember. Florida was at 9 or 9.5. LSU, I think, was around the same, 9 or 9.5. Texas A&M was around that too. I think Kentucky and Missouri were around 8. Kentucky might have been a game lower than that. Yeah, Nebraska's got a brutal schedule this year. It hasn't gone well for Scott Frost up there. He this actually could be his last year there. We'll see. Nebraska tends to keep coaches longer than the fans want them to, so maybe he gets another year, but we'll see. I guess it depends how they do. Well, it obviously depends how they do this year, but they've got a tough road this year. Bama Matt, thank you for the super chat. He says, Big Ten man loves to talk about too cold, but they won't come play a game when it's 95 with heat, humidity, and index at 1. Yeah. I could not agree more. I don't see Ohio State beating. I mean, Ohio State had a chance to play Georgia in Athens. The first week of September, when it would have been 100 degrees on the field and 120 with the humidity and the heat index, and they backed out. The next year, Georgia was going to go to Columbus and play them. Georgia didn't back out. Ohio State backed out and canceled the series. Instead, they played TCU at a neutral site game and scheduled a home-and-home with Oregon. So, I mean, those are just the facts. I mean, the idea that somehow the SEC can't play in cold weather is ridiculous. The NFL drafts way more SEC players every single year than they do players. The SEC has had the most players drafted for 18 years in a row. And breaking news, about half the NFL teams play in cold weather, and they still draft SEC players, and they do pretty well. So the whole thing where the SEC can't play in the cold is, like, honestly, I've heard a lot. I've heard a million excuses from a million different fan bases over the years. The whole thing about you can't play in the cold weather is probably the dumbest one I've ever heard. I mean, back in the day when the Big Ten was the best conference, was it not cold up there then or something? You know, the SEC hasn't always been the best conference in football. It's just been the best conference in football the last 20 or 25 years. There's been decades where the Big Ten was dominant. Was it not cold up there then? Was it not cold in the Big Ten in the 50s and the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s? I mean, was it not cold up there then? Somehow now it's cold up there? I just don't get it. It must be that global cooling I keep hearing about. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Shout out to everybody who helped support the show through the Super Chat. Bama Matt, Dylan Deloney, Pac-12 Man, Bama Mike, Jesus Christ Home Slice, Pac-12 Man again. I really appreciate you guys supporting the show. Brock Tony, thank you for the Super Chat. He says, I don't see any Big Ten teams getting in the playoff this year since Ohio State lost a lot of players. Well, I still think Ohio State is the best team in the Big Ten by far and is likely to win the Big Ten again. And if they can do it at 12-0 or 11-1, they're going to have a good shot to get in, depending on what happens in the Pac-12 and depending on what happens with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got a really easy schedule this year. I know people hate Notre Dame and you don't want to hear it and blah, blah, blah. Look at Notre Dame's schedule and tell me where the losses are. You're not going to find any. Their toughest game is North Carolina. So take that for what it's worth. Their toughest game is North Carolina. So, Notre Dame could get in again. Now, they won't win a first-round game. We already know that. Notre Dame hasn't won a major postseason game since 1991. It's not likely to change this year, is it? No, it's not. But if they're 12-0, they're getting in, period. If Notre Dame goes 12-0, they're getting in. I mean, it doesn't matter how mad it makes us. They're getting in if they go 12-0. So, anyway, appreciate all of you tuning in. I'll play a song or two here at the end. I love you guys. I'll be back at 8 a.m. for the morning shoe. Until then, though, hope you have a good morning.
longing truth and soul, longing for another wind. Lurching to the fray, weapon out and belly in. A warrior struggling to remain consequential.
Come on, please! UGA! No! No! What are you doing? Oh my God, no! What are you doing? Aubrey Solomon, listen to me! Listen! People be telling me, UNCLELOU, let go! Let go! He's not coming to UGA! He's not. I said, no! He's coming to UGA! He's a savage! He's gonna put up for his hometown team! No! You wanna go to... Why? You wanna go play in the car? Fine! Go to Michigan! Great! Have a great time playing football in the world's largest outdoor refrigerator! What are you... Jim Harbaugh? Really? Is this what you want? Here! Aubrey Solomon! Is this... You want to put up Jim Harbaugh's stupid spend the night parties? Huh? Hey! I'm Jim Harbaugh! Come to my house! Have a spend the night party! Oh my God! Now get all these high school kids over to my house! We'll put our pajamas on and have a freaking spend the night party! Oh, that's great! Great job! Great job! Enjoy yourself up there in Michigan! He lost to the goddamn corn dog. He lost to a 3-win corn dog team. Oh my God. Marco Wilson. This Marco Wilson, sir, you better stay off social media for 1 or 20 years or so. Just don't ever go on social media again. My God, this Marco Wilson, world champion shoe tosser. Marco Wilson pretty much cost Florida the game here. Well, there's plenty of blame to go around for Florida, let's be honest. Todd Grantham, the whole third and Grantham thing. Dan Mullen's just a terrible coach. I mean, let's just be real. The Florida coaching in this game was absolutely terrible. Kyle Trask, 3 turnovers. Just an abysmal performance. Field goal kicker can't make a 50-yarder at the end of the game when the LSU kicker had literally just done it 30 seconds ago. LSU comes out, tries to hand you the game on a silver platter. I can't stand when teams do this. You play a certain way the entire game. It works. And then with 40 seconds to go in the game, LSU comes out with a 3-man rush and a 25-yard prevent defense. What happens? Florida, the 3 easiest completions Florida had all day were those last 3 completions, went right down the field. And then you come out with everything on the line and you miss the damn field goal. Hey, you hired the Florida man. This is just what you're going to get. Yes, you'll be pretty good. You were pretty good last year. You were pretty good the year before. You're pretty good this year. This is as good as you'll get. This is it. Alabama is going to beat this Florida team like they're going to beat them like an orphan. Alabama is going to beat Florida like an orphan. I mean, it's going to be criminal. I would call DFAX right now if I was a Florida man. I would call DFAX right now and report a crime about to be in progress 7 days from now. Alabama's going to bend you over and absolutely sodomize you. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. Oh, but we beat Georgia. Congratulations. You did win your Super Bowl this year. You did beat Georgia. First time in 3 years. Congratulations. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Dan Mullen improves to 1-3 against Georgia. You guys are happy as hell to tie Georgia in the East. I guess technically Dan Mullen does now have an East title, though. A division title, finally. 1 division title in 12 years for Dan Mullen. But he's tied with Georgia, though. I know Florida has a tiebreaker, but man, everything on the line, and you come out and crap the bed against a 3-win LSU team. This is absolutely humiliating. Humiliating. Dan Mullen, boy. He's a Florida man.
This is a real B&H customer story.
Where's my copious notes? There we go, copious. Happy Sunday morning, everyone. Man, some of you wish you didn't wake up today, didn't you? Yeah. A lot of you wish you didn't wake up today. I'll tell you one thing. There ain't a whole lot of things on earth harder than being a Georgia fan. Harder than being a Georgia fan.
Saban. Nick Saban. No. Oh, get away from me. Get away from me, Nick Saban. Get away from me. Alabama. Week 7 of the 2020 college football season is in the books. And time for another list of losers this Sunday morning. I'm going to be honest with you. If it wasn't for the fact that Georgia lost yesterday, I probably would have waited and done this video tomorrow. I can barely talk. But if I don't put this video out today, the trolls. This is going to be a good one, ain't it? Yeah, it is. Not the game. No. This video. Video is going to be a good one. The game's already over. You know that. Come on. Hey, even if you're a Tennessee fan, if you're watching this video, you know that. Tennessee fan, Georgia fan, fan of some other team, everyone knows this game is over. The 8-game winning streak. Even Tennessee fans have to be tired of hearing about this thing. The 8-game winning streak. Who have they played? Hey, you ain't played nobody. Georgia's beat how many top 10 teams over the course of your 8-game winning streak? But we beat Auburn last week. What Tennessee? Oh, Auburn ain't no good. But I have a pretty good feeling Tennessee's going to show up in Athens this weekend because they keep doing it every other year. I don't know why, like I said, but they keep doing it. So I have a feeling they're going to make the drive or the flight or whatever they're doing, a tractor or whatever. I don't know. You think Jerome Pruitt butt chugs? I don't know. Anyway, I'll make you a deal because I like to do this. I know it's the first Uncle Lou video you've ever seen. I'll try something different today. But I'm going to make you a deal to the Tennessee players if they're watching. And let's be honest, they are. Every single one of them, they're watching. The conference and CBS have scheduled this game for 3:30 tomorrow, Saturday afternoon in Athens. Georgia's going to be there. Georgia will be at Sanford Stadium all day. So we'll just hang out there all day. In case, but by some off chance, the Tennessee Voltars decide to actually show up. So Tennessee, if you guys want to come to Athens and get your booty hole ripped open on national TV for God and your mother and everyone else to see, then drag that group of kids that never made it past the first round of a spelling bee to Sanford Stadium on Saturday at 3:30. Bring your moonshine too, you bunch of backwoods inbred hillbilly hicks. It'll help you drown your misery after this ass beating that Georgia puts on you Saturday. If that sounds like something you're into, then come get you some of this, bitch!
Switch.